And we spend an awful lot of time saying we're not humans having a divine experience, we're divine beings having a human experience. I'd take that and say we are divine humans, because we're all of that all the time. And we get to honor that and celebrate it and love ourselves in it, because that divine nature celebrates and loves and honors all of what we are, all that humanness. So yeah, what if doubt was this opportunity, this gift to let us dive a little bit deeper into what we really believe about ourselves and what we want to do about it. My good friend, one of my mentors in Santa Fe, Reverend Dr. Bernardo Montserrat, for many years, he has quoted St. Francis of Assisi. And there's a doubt. I have looked for this in the literature. I cannot find it, but I'll go with Reverend Bernardo. He says, St. Francis says, my faith can only be as strong as my doubt. What did he even mean? Okay? What if faith that's built on somebody told me I have to believe this and I'm not going to look at anything that I think that might not fit that, or that's not strong faith. That's just a structure we've created. Whereas if we let ourselves be with the doubts, if we let the doubt teach us and guide us and deepen us, then we get to a faith that we can really lean into. It's really ours. Sidebar here. Those of you who have ever prepared a talk for a Sunday like this, for any purpose, you'll be well familiar with this phenomenon. Have you ever gotten a topic and started to do the fit around what I want to say and how I want to say it, and the universe says, oh, you want to talk about that? I'll give you something. Okay. Well, one of those happened to me last week. Little backstory. These global themes are created by a team that rotates over the years, team of ministers and practitioners affiliated with Centers for Spiritual Living. And Reverend KC has been on that team a couple of years running. I've been on the team for, I think it was 2024. As in, we were doing the work in 2023 for what we talked about in 2024. Anyway, they organize it. They set a year's theme and the month's themes and hand them off to individuals on the team to construct a bunch of material with quotes and ideas and an outline that you can use or not use as you choose. And then they post it to a website that ministers can access to download the material and work from there. Okay, and I did that. Other years I've done that right at the beginning of the year or even before the beginning of the year when they first publish it. This year, because I haven't been speaking regularly, I didn't get around to it until just a few weeks ago. And then as I prepared for today and next week, I'll be speaking next week as well, I opened up first week of May and started to work on it and got very glad at what I was going to say and how I was going to say it. And then I came in on Tuesday to sit with Tasha, who was teaching me the ropes of running the office at this point, because that's one of my new duties as your brand new staff minister. And got to the event that we were going to upload onto Facebook so that then we could live stream from there. And that was all fine, Divine Doubt. Yeah, I knew that. And then I saw the talk title of Self-Doubt as the starting block, and I said, no, that's wrong. And Tasha says, well, that's what Casey gave me. And no, that's wrong, and that's not what I've been working on for a week and a half. Well, what do you want to do about it? And I said, well, first of all, I want to find out how she got it wrong. And I went on my phone onto the website, opened up May, opened up week 1, and KC was right, and Lynn was wrong. I was like, well, okay then. And the good news is it didn't cause me even a beat to say, well, I'll just start over, because honestly, preparing a talk is a huge, deep, important part of my spiritual practice. This is a learning experience. I teach myself more on these Sundays than I teach you guys. But thanks for being along for the ride. Okay, I'll start over. But then I went home and started trying to find out where I got the wrong stuff. And you know what? I can't find it. I thought, well, maybe I had downloaded the wrong year, because they keep a couple of years running talk titles going for us to refer back to if we want to. No, it wasn't a year ago, May. That was totally different. Went, maybe it's another week of this month. No. Where did I grab it from? Maybe I dreamed it. Well, no, because I had this whole outline right there saved on my computer. I didn't invent that. I still don't know where it came from. I have no idea. The universe gaslit me.
That's right.
Okay. All right then. And what do I want to do with it, and how do I want to use this as an opportunity to play with self-doubt and loosen up and see where it takes me? And lo and behold, that's the theme for this week, right? So here I am. Okay.
I will say she didn't miss a beat. She was like, yeah, I'll do it. I was like, are you sure we can change it? And Lynn was like, nope, we'll do what it says.
Yeah.
Champion.
Okay. Well, as Mary Lee already quoted, there's an old adage that says, the opposite of faith is not doubt, but certainty. And for this, I'm going to define certainty as that hard shell case that we build. That's, I know this, and I'm not going to question it and get out of my way. It's very harsh, it's very brittle, it's very outside. Actually, it sounds a whole lot like that shell I was talking about a few weeks ago when we were playing with vulnerability. Okay? That this is a false outer that we build to protect ourselves from dealing with doubt. And that doesn't serve us, because maybe doubt has some gifts to give us. Maybe doubt wants to take us into curiosity and exploration and flexibility and openness. What if? Another quote from Reverend Bernardo. If you meet somebody who says they're absolutely sure of anything, guru, a teacher, an authority, if they know everything all the time, run. Run. Because they're trying to fit you into their certainty. And wouldn't it be more fun to work with somebody who says, you know, I'm not sure, let's play. Let's go deeper. Let's see what it means for you. Because what it means for me might be a little bit different. And I'm about waking you up to what you really believe. What would that feel like? Leads us to questions like this. What do I really believe? And how is that belief showing up for me in my outer experience? And we have noticed as we practice this science of mind that what's reflecting back to us from the outside tells us a whole lot about what we've got going on the inside. And then take that even farther into, okay, then what do I want to do about it? Am I okay with right where I am and this is good? Or is there some flexibility necessary here? Do I need to start telling myself a different story? And all of these kinds of questions, this is what the science of mind, as our philosophy, is all about. And it's personal. Yes, we read what we believe at the beginning of services like this, perhaps, and stand in that and say, yeah, that fits. Or maybe we don't. Maybe as we're reading through, there's a big, long what I believe that was written by Ernest Holmes, and then what we believe as an organization has developed from that. But maybe there are places in that don't fit you. And maybe you want to do your personal work to say, well, what would fit there? What would I do differently or say differently than the way this particular idea is phrased right here? And something that we say frequently as one of our little go-to aphorisms, I think it was probably said first by Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind, the author of that book, the founder of this organization that is now Centers for Spiritual Living, when he said, we don't teach you what to think, we teach you how to think. Because we're not going to say, this is the certainty, you better get with the program. We're going to invite you to do your own inner work to get to where you need to be to feel like you belong in the universe, being the best version of yourself you can be. And, noticeably, we're dedicated to creating a safe space, not only as a global organization, but as our local groups like United Life. We're dedicated to being a community that can be a safe place for all of us to do that exploration individually. A safe place to say, I'm dealing with some doubt. I'm less than sure about things right now, without it being shameful, without it needing to be hidden. Safe place to support each other in that work. And we'll talk more about that next week, too. And as I said, this sounds a whole lot like what we talked about with vulnerability. Because, again, that certainty is a hard shell that protects us from what we're trying to not deal with behind it and underneath it. And what if we chose a different path into finding our real strength? Great quote from Roshi Joan Halifax. She says, all too often our so-called strength comes from fear, not love. Instead of having a strong back, many of us have a defended front, shielding a weak spine. In other words, we walk around brittle and defensive, trying to conceal our lack of confidence. If we strengthen our backs, metaphorically speaking, and develop a spine that's flexible but sturdy, then we can risk having a front that's soft and open. Yes, please. That's how I want to live. And that's about getting off of certainty and into Roshi Jones' word, confidence. And what if that doubt and use of doubt as an invitation into the deeper work was a vehicle to get us to true confidence, true self-confidence, as an opposite of that certainty and that hard shell. more definitions. Ernest Holmes talking about confidence and self-confidence. He said, for our purpose, let us define confidence in ourselves as spiritual self-reliance. And I'll point out, he borrowed that straight from Ralph Waldo Emerson, in Emerson's essay on self-reliance, which is one of my favorite things Emerson ever put together. He was a hero of Ernest Holmes as well. But when this is done, we do not rely upon our finite selves, but upon that intelligence or divine presence which is back of all that is and is at the center of our own being. And then in a different book, he said, developing confidence in ourselves, in our ability to meet and handle all undesirable situations, requires that we must have confidence in that something which is greater than we are. Then we will have spiritual self-reliance. And when this is done, the lesser must always submit to the greater. Weakness will give way to strength. Despair will turn to hope. Hate will become love. Failure will become success. And sickness will dissolve into health. The action that takes place is not one of despotic or overruling harshness. That would be that certainty, right? But one that moves in harmony, love, beauty, warmth, and order, quietly transforming all that is unlike it. I like that. That's how I want to feel. That's where I want to come from. So another one that the universe landed on me this week, not quite so harshly. This is a soft landing. One of the apps that I use all the time is Noom. I loaded it a few years ago to lose a whole lot of weight, thank you very much, and I keep it on my phone to continue to hold that weight. And I want to look like this the rest of my life, thank you very much.
Right.
But Noom is not only a weight loss tool, but it's heavily psychological and metaphysical and spiritual, and they're handing me stuff all the time that it's like, yeah, that's science of mind, there it is. Well, the one that landed this week said this: confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence grows because of action. In other words, we have to actually do something about it. We have to think into it. We have to step into it. We have to say, what if I'm bigger than I thought I was? What if there's room for me to grow into something more loving and more connecting and more powerful in the world? Because I am all of that already, but I haven't necessarily been aware of it. You got to step into it and find it and start living it, and that's how confidence grows. And we get there by reshaping our inner dialogue, by paying attention to what we're really telling ourselves and how we're saying it, and is it kind, and is it true, and the work goes from there. And doubt is one of the keys to getting into it. So let's not shy away from it. Let's not feel, I don't know that it's ever going to be comfortable, but let's be okay with a little bit of discomfort, because it's on the way to something big and wonderful and opening and true and joyful. And I choose that. I choose that. And such joy and freedom opens up when we get to that place where we really can trust ourselves. Back to Emerson and back to self-reliance, which is my favorite of many Emerson's essays. This is a sentence from that I hit. I've been reading it since high school, but this sentence showed up for me maybe a decade ago, and I grabbed it and I've used it as one of the taglines on my emails ever since, because there's so much power in it. And we're going way too far. Oh, me. Where'd it go?
There you go.
Thank you. It's a very sensitive clip. Okay, so it's Emerson's language, which is always a mouthful. In fact, he even invents words, and that's okay too. That's his own self-confidence. He says, I will so trust that what is deep is holy, that I will do strongly before the sun and moon whatever inly rejoices me and the heart appoints. Think about that. Feel into that. I will so trust what's inside me, talking to me, telling me the truth, that I will live from that. I will do that. I will do whatever inly rejoices me and my heart appoints. My heart says, do this, live like this, be this, because that's who you are. And what if we live from that joyful, powerful, juicy place? That's what I wish for all of us. And let's take that into prayer. Oh, I know there's only one life, one loving intelligence, one infinite possibility, one wholeness, one allness, living itself as all these unique and beautiful and beloved individuations of itself that we are, and living itself as more than the sum of the total of the parts of its creation, all of us and everything that wraps us up and all the energy that exchanges between us, all of that is God being itself. And if that's true, then my life and everything about my life is that one life living itself as me. And that's the truth for every person in this room, every person participating online, every person on the planet, whether they're aware of it or not. That truth is true. So standing in that truth, allowing that truth to empower me and inform me and remind me of who I really am. I speak my word right now for doubt and my comfort level with it as I navigate it and allow it to open things up for me. Allow myself to explore and investigate and question, and allow myself to find my way into the heart of the matter for me. And you'll notice I'm speaking these words in first person because I'm talking to myself. If that feels right to you, take those words as your own. And then in gratitude, I just know and trust that I'm grateful how good I feel just for having spoken these words right now. And I'm grateful for what shows up in my experience in the next moment and the next day and the next year. Because Spirit is doing this in me, for me, through me, and as me. And in that gratitude, I just release this word, I let it go, and I let it be, and together we say,
And so it is.
Thank you.
Thank you.